It's Tuesday in the afternoon. We don't belong here.
How about that?
I don't even have lights set up because there's like sunlight coming in.
Yeah. Me too. I'm just sitting by a window.
Uh,
So I'm very dark on this side now.
in case you're new, this is US Fan TV Live. We do these shows Tuesday night and Thursday night at a little bit after 8 p.m. Central Time in the US, but it is not after 8 p.m. Central in the US right now. It is noon, which means the one thing I thought was cool about this show was that we've got a lot of people in Europe who watch us, like our guy Jack and Sandra in Germany, Gianluca in Malta. I hope they're all able to watch today, so that'd be pretty cool if they can, because there's a lot to talk about.
There are a few things to talk about today. One or two.
Do we start with John Brooks? The news this morning. The news this morning that he may be about to become the most expensive U.S. player ever. There's rumors of a 17 million euro transfer to Wolfsburg, which initially I'm like, why would he leave a Europa League team for a team that barely fought off relegation? But then Wolfsburg's a bigger club, isn't it? I feel like Wolfsburg, when I think of Wolfsburg, I think of them as being a much bigger club than where they finished the season. And 17 million euros shows a huge commitment toward defense, which is something they definitely need, and Brooks. Mm-hmm. So it might end up being a pretty cool thing.
Yeah, I mean, all in all, they're only, 2 years, I think, removed from Champions League play. So it's not like...
Yeah, they were like second place, right? So
so it's not like they're just, I don't know, a nobody team and this is all they're doing and they have nothing better. They are doing this, presumably, to make a splash and get themselves back up near the top of the leagues. But yeah, to go from, I think here to finish 6th place, I mean, they're going to be in Europa League, to a team that just barely missed relegation. It does seem like kind of a shock. It's also, Hertha is the team that he's played for his entire career.
Yeah, he's from Berlin. So
from Berlin. So, it really is kind of his like boyhood club. And here he is, presumably moving away. But it does, I think, speak pretty highly that they've selected him. Wolfsburg has selected him as the choice to go to, as they want to revamp their team and presumably make a better defense, or make a move at improving their defense so that they can move back up the table again.
The one thing that interests me about Brooks is that, we have guys, and we'll talk about one of them in a minute, Timmy Chandler, who there are guys who play really well with their club teams and don't play well when they play with the U.S. national team. Brooks is pretty much consistent. He's either very, very good or he's bad in both places. And we saw that this season. He was very, very good for most of the season. He wasn't very good at the end of the season for Hertha Berlin, but maybe it's because he's fighting an injury or something like that, which begs the question, why is he in U.S. camp if he's hurt? But hopefully he's got that sorted and he's going to be strong for us in these upcoming matches. I mean, I would even say sit him in that friendly if he's still hurt, just on the off chance that you have a fully healthy and strong John Brooks for the 2 matches where we really need him, and the 1 match where we very much need him on June 11th.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I had him even on the roster list that we discussed the other day. I still put him in as like a star next to his name because I wasn't sure, is he okay to play? Is he injured? That was part of the reason I had some of the guys listed as backups, were because presumably they might, I keep saying presumably, they could potentially slot in as a replacement for him if he is hurt.
Yeah, Sandra's asking if he's hurt. It's unclear. I mean, we've heard reports that he might be hurt, but there hasn't been a lot of information about that. So he's obviously not injured enough to not be in pain.
Yeah. He got the call up. They shut him down, right at the end there. I think it was a hip thing, but it wasn't, didn't require surgery or anything, clearly. It wasn't, I don't think it was considered major. It was just a matter of any injury at this point probably knocks you out. And so we were certainly worried that he wasn't going to make it.
Yeah. I mean, I'd love to have him there. The last showing we had from him, and I guess, did he play in the March qualifiers? He did not, right? Or he did.
Who?
Did Brooks play in the March qualifiers? I can't remember now.
Yes.
He did, right?
That seems correct.
So I still have that Costa Rica match in my head, but hopefully we're removed from that. A lot of people were bad that night. It wasn't just Brooks, but
yeah, to me that was, I think, the culmination of everything that was going wrong, and those two games were sort of just an unraveling of the team. I think they were perhaps as much to do with Jurgen Klinsmann. Not even to say that they were Klinsmann's fault specifically, but that they were the fault of kind of his leadership, or the end of his leadership, and that the players just didn't want him there anymore, and so they weren't going to play for him.
Yeah, I mean, Mike brought up that Bobby Wood has been playing on painkillers for a good part of the season, which I hope hasn't been the case with Brooks. Which also made me think of this. There's been another Wood in the news, only plural Woods, who had trouble with painkillers recently. I hope that Bobby Wood doesn't have the same fate as Tiger Woods with that, because that's like what we saw with Brett Favre. A lot of guys, that stuff can get very, very addictive very fast. So when you're dealing with those opiate-based painkillers, that's kind of scary. So hopefully Bobby wasn't on an opiate-based painkiller, and hopefully, he doesn't need that anymore to play with us. So, other big news, Timmy Chandler, he's not going to be there. He's apparently hurt. It's unclear whether he actually made the trip to the U.S. or if he's still in Germany and said, you know what, I'm hurt, I'm not coming. I find it a little bit annoying because this is a guy with a track record, or at least there's a belief about Timmy Chandler among some people that he doesn't want to be here. If he was hurt, I saw him in the Pokal, and he looked fine. He came off in the 72nd minute or something like that, but he looked fine. I don't know why you wait until Monday morning to announce this. If in fact he was hurt after that game, that should have been said right away, because I think Eric Lehigh should be here. I thought he should have been here from the start. And I hope I guess it was said today that there wasn't going to be a replacement. Bruce is just going to keep the roster with 10 defenders, 26 people overall. But I really think Eric Lehigh should get a shot if he's available.
I don't understand what else that guy has to do. I mean, granted, he plays for a crappy team in the championship. That said, he's essentially their most valuable player. He can play all positions across the back line. To me, he was a great call-up right now because there's still the question about Brooks. Who knew what was going to happen with Chandler, and there was the possibility that he was injured. That he was subbed off. So, there were a number of questions. And come on, he's a guy in fine form. It seems to me that he gets the call-up here. You give him a chance. Now, speaking of championship defenders, Ream did get called up. I think perhaps it means more to Bruce to be playing for a winning championship team than it is to be playing for a losing one. I don't know. But because he's another guy who, he's still just a backup too. Presumably he is the one of the central backups. But then I don't understand, like, of the call-up of the roster, the guys that Bruce called, I don't understand having Ream and Beasler. Because it seems to me that they're kind of the same player. You just take one of them. You bring in Lehigh because I think he's probably, well, I would take him better. I would take him over Beasler in most cases. Just because I think Beasler's smaller, if nothing else. But anyway, to me, I don't understand Ream and Beasler. It did seem like an abundance of defenders brought in, especially when so many of them are just backups. I mean, I don't understand DeMarcus Beasley at all anymore. He's really just a locker room guy. I guess I get it from I guess I get it from the perspective of, if you get to probably third string left back, you're not looking to win the game anymore. You're just looking to not lose the game. And in that regard, sure, you call in the guy who, he's been through this enough times. He knows what he's doing. He's not going to get flustered going into Azteca in the 50th minute or something, I guess. So in that regard, I guess I understand it. But it seems to me that that's why you bring in Lehigh, maybe, I don't know, any of the years before now, so he could be kind of like somebody. But it just seems to me that, okay, Villafana, maybe he screws up because he's new. We still have the opportunity to drop Fabian back. Does DeMarcus rate better than Greg Garza now at left back? Unless it is that because Garza doesn't have the experience either. But at the same time, I don't know. Sometimes you got to give these guys experience. And yes, there have been injuries and things that prevented some of that. But at the same time, it's like, to me, a third string left back at Azteca, like, it's hard enough to try to get a result at Azteca anyway. I saw somebody, I paused for a second because I saw a comment go by that said there's no chance of getting any. Baby LP says the squad has no chance to get 3 points at Azteca. I would say that, except that we've done it not too long ago, and I think we did it with lesser attacking strength, certainly lesser attacking talent than we have on this squad. So,
and Mexico looked like shit the other night. So Azteca is a different thing, and I know that was a friendly the other night, but we'll see. I don't think we're going to win that game. If I'm being honest, I would love it if we did, but I don't think we're going to win it. Yeah. I don't think it draws out of the question.
No, absolutely not. I mean, if you look, what is it? Our last 2 times there, we've got a draw and a win. So things are trending up for us there. Now, granted, until November, Mexico had never gotten a win at Columbus. So, this has not been the qualification round that I think all of this, the 2018 qualifications have not been what the U.S. really wanted. But we did get this new kid, Christian Pulisic, who seems to be kind of talented. So there are things that are improving. We'll see. But
so, I mean, I would say for the Venezuela match, you just want to be okay and hope nobody gets hurt. And for that first qualifier, I think you want to stomp Trinidad and Tobago, and again, hopefully nobody gets hurt, and then you're ready to go. You're trending upward going into Azteca, and playing at altitude hopefully helps too.
And I think with the way we started, you really want to do as much as you can to build up that goal differential. So you need to kind of roll over some teams, just steamroll them and get 5 goals or something. So you're looking at, if there are any ties anywhere along the line, you probably win it.
Are we mad that Timmy Chandler's not going to be there? I mean, I will say this with Timmy Chandler. The one thing I was interested in, and I always wanted to know, was he just dogging it because he didn't like Klinsmann? And we talked about the tactics in those 2 November matches, especially the Costa Rica match, where it seemed like Timmy Chandler was forced to cover a lot of space on the right-hand side of the field. Was he just pissed and gave up because he got tired of Klinsmann? Was it like a Mourinho at Chelsea sort of thing? Or does he really just not care about playing for the national team? And I thought the one thing we would see is if he did come in under Bruce and pulled the same shit, then we'd know Timmy Chandler's never coming here. But he's so good in the Bundesliga that, I wish we could see that translate for the national team, and it just hasn't happened with him.
Absolutely. And it is a good question. Was he just not playing? Was he just kind of one of the first guys to say, this is all bullshit. I'm not going to try here. Who knows? It would have been interesting to find out.
Speaking of the Bundesliga, we've got to talk about Thomas Tuchel real quick. I think Sandra just reminded us, because Indeed. He is, as the rumors were true, he's out at Borussia Dortmund. It seemed like his reaction to the board pushing to play after the bombing really forced the split. I know a lot of people, when they heard Tuchel was out this morning, who are fans of Arsenal, was hoping that he'd be coming to the Emirates next season, but it looks like Arsene Wenger is signing a new deal. But what does this mean for Christian Pulisic? Are you worried at all about who may come in and what this means for Pulisic's future? Because I feel like there's a fair chance somebody may pay a lot of money for Dembele and buy him, which would probably make Pulisic a regular starter, even more than he has been. So I think he's in a good position there, assuming the right coach comes in. Or would you rather him go to wherever Tuchel goes, or go to Liverpool and play with Klopp, play with a coach that we know likes him and believes in him. I don't know. I feel like staying put is probably best.
I think staying put still probably is good for him. The club definitely seems to have him in its kind of in its future, or in its future plans. Tuchel, yeah, he's been great for him. I mean, you can pretty much credit him with all of Pulisic's advancements over the last year and a half. That said, I think at this point he's well positioned enough that he's okay. You do have the Dembele thing. Aubameyang is rumored to finally be moving. I mean, granted, he's always rumored to be moving, but it sounds like, and you have to think that it's got to happen one of these days. Like, 2 years of rumors, something's going to happen. He's not going to stay there forever. Royce is out, 7 months or something, they're saying, with the
unluckiest player in soccer in the world.
An ACL injury. So, yeah, there are an awful lot of attacking players who could be moving on. Like we've talked about not too far in the past, about he could be looking at hitting kind of regular starting status pretty soon, because there are going to be openings. Aubameyang probably should go play somewhere else at this point. And it's not to say that he doesn't fit. He's not a good fit at Dortmund. It's just that, come on, with the way he's scoring and things, people are going to throw money at it. The Real Madrid rumors have been there for.
It makes sense. I mean, he's better than Karim Benzema, so I would. Yeah. I think that he could go anywhere at this point. He's a fantastic player.
Yeah, my thought is somebody's going to make a move for him. It's probably going to finally happen. A coaching change is never good for. Well, I shouldn't say never good. A coaching change always brings a little bit of worry to players who have kind of found their place, because who knows what the new coach is going to think. It's not like we haven't seen good players get shifted out just because some new manager didn't like them or wanted to play in a slightly different style. My thought, though, is Pulisic, like Tuchel said, there are guys who might even play above him, but he commits. He plays defense. He does things that other guys don't do. And when you put in the fact that they're already looking at potentially losing a number of kind of starting attacking players, I think he's actually well positioned to keep his spot.
He drew that penalty to win them the Pokal, which it was a tighter game than I thought it would be. But Pulisic came on, drew a penalty, Aubameyang stroked it home, and they won. So it was, it's exciting. He's just
nice, Dominic. Dominic notes that he's a Liverpool fan, so yes,
Liverpool.
my feelings on Liverpool. But I mean, look, if he went there, I still wish him well. I mean, a couple games a year at least, maybe a few games, maybe a number of games a year. I don't want to see him win, but I still want to see him play well. Yeah. And I kind of like Klopp. I mean, he seems like,
who doesn't? I think everybody likes Klopp, except for some of the Liverpool fans.
Yeah, Liverpool fans may not like him so much, but no, like he seems to be, I don't know, kind of a cool guy. And then you add, he's got a good track record. Really, until Liverpool, he's got a really good track record as a coach.
And I think the Premier League has shown that you can't just march into the Premier League and expect that you're going to be great. Look at Pep. So Pep did essentially the same thing that City did last year. So he's obviously great. And Mourinho finished a position below where Van Gaal finished last year. And although they did win some trophies, a treble, if you ask him, it's tough. So geez, we have, what else do we have? We haven't even done a show since the roster came out.
Yeah.
We should probably talk about the roster and the guys that we have going forward. And I think, no surprises at all at forward. It was the four that we had picked, which is, we knew it would be barring injury. Josie, Bobby Wood, Clint Dempsey, and Jordan Morris. No Wando, thank God. And at goalkeeper, he took 4. I'm glad Ethan Horvath was in the mix. And as far as the MLS keeper, it was Ramondo we said it would be Robles. I still would have preferred Robles, but I don't really care. Timmy's starting, so
Yeah, again, to me, it's sort of like the discussion before about Beasley. If you get to third string keeper going into Azteca, you probably just want the guy who's been through this, been in this position the most times. I have to assume that's why it's Romano, because Robles, I think of national teamers who are playing in MLS, I think Robles is probably having the best season so far. He's certainly started hotter than, or playing better than the Ramondo has. I think it just comes down to, if you're going to your third string keeper at something like Azteca, you're not in great shape anyway. So you just want you just want the guy who's the most likely to stay calm and maybe have the fewest mistakes. And maybe that's where Robles doesn't have experience like that. So I could see, I guess, where you go Ramondo. I'm guessing Horvath probably doesn't make the trip, but clearly this is the chance to, he's Bruce is recognizing that he's one of the guys of the future, maybe the guy of the future, and trying to get him as much experience, much presence, whatever, as possible, not just with the team, but in these environments, to see what it's really like, to keep him calm later on. Now, I also kind of wonder if this means that maybe he doesn't get a Gold Cup call-up, because since he just got the starting job at Bruges, maybe that means that you give him then kind of the summer to train and hopefully maintain that starting role come the fall, especially when they're going to go start playing Champions League games.
The defenders, we talked about some of them. DeMarcus Beasley, a guy we both love, but we're both kind of shocked that he's still there. Matt Beasler, John Brooks, Jeff Cameron, Timmy Chandler, who is now out. Omar, Matt Hedges, Tim Ream, Jorge Villafana, DeAndre Yedlin, and Graham Zusi. So, again, as a defender.
I don't think Zusi won it all either, especially when Lehigh is available.
Right.
Like, to me, Lehigh could have been there as like Beasley and Zusi, because you'd probably take him over both of them, I would, and you could play him in either position. And I mean, I guess Zusi has, CONCACAF qualification experience again, but so to me, that only counts so far. That's more of a, we're in a desperate spot here. Like, then I guess I get Beasley, but Zusi, to me, the experiment with him at right back, he's improving, but he's still slow. He still gets beat all the time. Is that who you want playing, period, at Azteca? I mean, to me, you're more likely to like move Cameron over and push somebody else into the center than you would be to ever put Zusi out there. So I don't understand taking him even. It just doesn't make sense to me.
I mean, I don't know the answer to this, but I do wonder, how much of everybody does Bruce see? And how much is it based on either availability to see the games? I mean, they have the means to see any game they want.
We only have 2 scouts, or what did they, how many scouts did they say
there
were?
It's very low. But I mean, does being an MLS player, and we saw this with Klinsmann too, with Alan Gordon, does being an MLS player give a guy a better shot at making the team because they might be seen more often?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's certainly possible. What we haven't mentioned it, but Bjorn Mars Johnson getting called up to Norway.
Yeah, he's out of the picture, I guess.
Would those goals have meant more if he was in MLS or something? Maybe. When everyone was hoping that he was going to get called because he was scoring for Hearts, I watched some of the videos, like the highlight reels of him, and I don't know that he had like a great first touch. I don't know that I would say like, oh man, give him the ball. Like Juan Agudelo, I think, is far more creative with the ball, but he sure was finishing. And at a certain point, hey, we weren't scoring last fall. Why not give him a shot? Now, I maybe that would have worked if he was in MLS where somebody would have seen him. Because my thought would be if, say, I don't know, Bobby Wood, Jordan Morris, one of them, maybe Josie even, is hurt, or Deuce, just because of his age, something happens. I could see like CJ Sapon getting a call up because he's scoring right now in MLS. Does that count more than, say, someone like, Johnson when he's in, Norway, or when he's in Scotland? maybe not.
or Dwyer, or
Dom
what's the
Dwyer,
dude?
actually, yeah.
The striker for Minnesota, Christian Ramirez. Is
Oh
that his
yeah,
name?
yeah,
He's a guy too. So
yeah. And I actually could see maybe both of them getting called up to the Gold Cup. I mean, I don't remember who I've said to make the list for sure, but I think we're all expecting Dom Dwyer to get a call up soon, if nothing else, based on what Bruce has said. So I could see him getting the shot at the Gold Cup.
yeah,
The other guys, maybe. I think there's a mixture of goals they've scored, so kind of current form, and then perceived potential. And that's where I think
midfielders:
Dwyer probably beats them.
Kellen Acosta,
Midfielders,
Paul Arriola, Alejandro Bedoya, Michael Bradley, Fabian Johnson, Dax McCarty, Darlington Nagbe, and Christian Pulisic. That's a fine group. Glad to see Arriola there.
yeah, to me, the only real surprises are I was actually a little surprised that Bedoya got the call up, because I thought maybe this was.
We predicted he would not.
Yeah.
Which was not the safe prediction. This is definitely the safe prediction. So,
well, as we talked about, I think we said, we're really looking at the Gold Cup as potentially being the time that Arriola beats Bedoya out as kind of the right wide midfielder.
Who will beat him out, though, as the guy who makes fun of other people on Twitter? I don't see that we have Bedoya's replacement for causing Twitter controversies yet. So
maybe we don't know yet. Yeah, who's going to make fun of players from the women's team getting DUIs, or pick a fight with another player from the U.S. for diving in an MLS game or something? Yeah, we will miss his presence when he's finally gone. Maybe he'll keep
the Winalda battle. It was like Winalda was facing off against his, the guy who took over for him as the guy who says crazy dumb things.
A little bit, yeah.
And it was generations battling. Who's going to be the next guy?
Maybe it will be. Maybe it'll be like. Oh no, I've forgotten what I was going to say, because I was already trying to think of my next point about Bedoya, and not forget that Kleshton wasn't there. I'll see if it comes back to me. Yeah, the one thing I was going to note that kind of stood out to me about the midfielders is there's no. I think we've all accepted that Pulisic is most likely to be kind of our 10 going forward.
I saw a lineup today that had him on the right. I think was it Stars and Stripes, or one of the blogs thought he would play on the right. So I don't know. I think he's.
Did they have Dempsey then as kind of the creator? Who
I don't remember who they had. I'll have to go back and look. I don't think it was. It may have been Fox Sports. Yeah, but I saw it was a 4-4-2, and I had Pulisic.
At this point, we got to pretty well accept that. Oh, in that case, I'm sure it was because they put Acosta and Bradley in as sort of the base of the midfield, and then the two wide guys probably become, I assume, Fabian and Pulisic, and then they can both play in the middle and take on that center role, and then it's left to Bradley and, well, I guess it would be Acosta, to kind of back them up and pick up the pieces, as well as provide support for when like Yedlin and Villafaña crash forward on overlaps. But I don't know, these are just my guesses. But anyway, my point was going to be, I'm a little surprised there's no direct backup for that kind of central attacking midfielder number 10 role. There's pretty much, I mean, you can kind of guess what the depth charts are here. I think, as we mentioned,
Nagbe there?
What's that? What about Nagbe?
Is Nagbe the backup to, if you're going to say Pulisic is playing there?
Maybe.
Or does he go, he called in Dempsey as a forward. He had mentioned Dempsey as a number 10 before. But if you're calling in only four forwards, you're not going to start three of them, I don't think.
But there's it seems to me there's no direct replacement, kind of a like for like, absolutely. And that's strange to me, because there are so many replacements throughout this squad. I mean, you could swap a number of these guys in and out, and it's clear that this guy's backup, and this guy is the next one's backup, and down the line. I think we could probably pick our starting 11 out of this group and pick who would be
Right.
the replacement player for each of those, barring like a red card or something where you start swapping offense for defense or whatever. But yeah, it just seems to me that it's odd that that's the one role in which there's no absolute clear-cut replacement. And it kind of makes me wonder, does that mean Kleshton's done with the national team? I mean, short of Gold Cups and thing like January camps, like whatever.
And
but,
how about Benny? I think he assumed the second Bruce was named and he was called into that first camp. Benny's like, probably, I'm back in.
I got it.
And then
do this again.
We don't have Benny or Leggett.
No.
We were trying to make that a thing.
No, Benny or Leggett.
It's not going to be a thing. Both of those guys aren't here. So maybe we'll see him at the Gold Cup. Legett's still hurt, right? Is he? I think he is.
Yes. Yeah, he's going to be out until like November or something like that.
Yeah.
They were predicting at least 9 months or something like that from because it's a like a Liz Frank injury to his foot. So it was going to be surgery and then everything else.
So are we assuming in this lineup that he's going to go with Bradley and Acosta? Because at this point, I don't think that you can leave Acosta on the bench.
No.
If you have to pick one, I'm starting Kellen Acosta over Michael Bradley. And I've got Bradley's jersey behind me.
I don't believe that would happen. I think right now Bradley's still too ingrained in this team, even though it's not built around him the way it was, say, in even 2006, much less 2010. Or I meant to say 2010, not 2006. As much as it was in 2010, much less 2014. But it's still, I mean, he's still one of those, he's one of 2 or 3 guys that you can go, yeah, all right. He's starting, where he's playing, more or less.
Yeah.
I mean, there was the Klinsmann era, but
you're going to be Acosta, a forward.
Acosta to me is, I noticed somebody said if he's not starting in the World Cup, you don't know what's happening or something. I kind of feel the same in that I expect he is our long-term. I think after probably this World Cup, he goes to being the starter over Bradley. And he becomes that defensive midfielder and becomes kind of that heart of the base of the midfield, whatever. That you start, weaning Bradley out and weaning Acosta in full time ahead of 2022.
God, we still have. Let's mention this real quick because we got, we did a show about the most expensive game in world football or whatever they call it, the championship playoff final. It happened.
Yeah, we haven't noted yet.
Danny Williams, it's 0-0 after 120. Danny Williams nails his penalty for Reading, but that wasn't enough. Huddersfield won the shootout and advanced them to the Premier League. So Reading stays down. Sorry for Danny Williams. We both kind of agreed that it would be better, even though both teams kind of have an American connection. We would have rather Danny Williams in the Premier League because it's kind of better for him. But congrats to David Wagner. I know I heard somebody on Twitter kind of making fun of American fans for trying to claim credit, which I kind of get. Like I'm not really claiming credit. I mean, great for him. But like I've said before, he may have played for us, but I think in the eyes of most people in England, he's a German coach because he is, because that's where he was bred. That's where he came up. So I don't think this is like a Bob Bradley situation at all.
Yeah, no, it's not. I don't think it would be treated the same way, short of if he had a really terrible tenure and Americans were trying to crow about him and then he just sucked. Then I think he'd become an American all of a sudden, sort of like the Welsh. Our Welsh fans for a while in their hatred of Bob Bradley.
Yeah, Huddersfield had a -2 goal differential and didn't score in the playoffs. So that'll be a little brutal for them next season. We'll
Yeah.
see what they can do. But wow. It sucks for Danny Williams, though. I'm really glad that he nailed his penalty, though. I wouldn't have wanted that resting on his shoulders. That's a lot of money. Can you imagine going to the line with
I
basically a
mean,
200 million pound swing for your owner?
yeah, yeah. He does seem to. I mean, one of the things that I always kind of have to credit him with is he does seem to believe in himself. You know, like I usually say about him here at times, and that's why he's not a more consistent member of player for our national team. He is one of the few guys who can pick up a ball at his own box, dribble through 3 or 4 guys, and then go take a shot in the other team's box, and have done all the work himself. Yeah, Bradley's not going to do that. Colin Acosta maybe, but to this point, it's not been something Acosta hasn't been there enough to kind of show it. And so Mike, I think it was like your comment about you take Danny Williams over Acosta. This may be an example of where playing in MLS and the ability to see someone regularly pays off over somebody who has played well, but was in the championship and they're just not on TV or not as front and center for like a scout to attend a game or to watch or whatever, because we just don't have that many scouts as the $100 million what did they call it, war chest demonstrated.
Yeah.
Or as they admitted when it came to that.
U20s play Thursday morning against New Zealand. Are you going to be watching Flight of the Conchords all night to prepare?
Might as well, right? It's business. It's business time.
We're not playing rugby, so that's obviously a winnable match. No slight against New Zealand, a good team, but that's a winnable match, and maybe we can keep going in that tournament, which would be cool to see. So
yeah, it will suck that Carter Vickers is going to miss it because of his bullshit red card.
That was ridiculous.
Welcome to playing for the U.S.
But if we continue rolling forward in that tournament, this could be sort of like the 2000 Olympics were for us, the kind of jumping off point for some of our future stars. Maybe this is going to be the same.
Okay, you cut out for a second there on me. I was afraid that I just lost signal or something.
Nope, it's still there.
Yeah, Danny and Acosta would be interesting together. I think the problem there becomes until you can prove that they can do it, you're seeing who knows who holds back, who hangs back, and who gets to bomb forward. I don't yet know which one of them is more positionally sound or positionally aware to kind of make room for the other, or who has the ego there and wants to like prove that no, I'm the man, and will go out and kind of play over the other one, as is the problem. Who becomes the next Jermaine Jones in a sense?
Oh God,
for good and for bad. Yeah, Sandra, I do think I won't about the Schalke players getting a chance to show what they can do. I won't fault Schalke necessarily for holding on to them, so long as they were going to play them. It sucks that they held them, stuck them in the lineup, and then only sent out McKinney.
Mm-hmm.
Like in that case, let them go play in the U20s, because what the hell? It gives them an important game to go play in, and they'll have the chance to actually play. Otherwise, hey, I don't mind you holding on to them if you do intend to use them, because by all means, I want to see them play. I want to see them get the chance. So yeah, I hope that those guys get some opportunities over the next few months, or something that there's something for them to play in, or that they get to maybe start making the full squad come next season.
All right, we have a ton of new people viewing. So just to kind of recap what we've talked about today. First of all, this is a show we normally do Tuesday and Thursday nights, a little after 8 p.m. Central in the U.S., but we decided to do one early today because schedules worked out that way, and we've got a lot of people watching. So Very cool. Welcome if you're new to this. This is USfanTV Live. That's what we call this show. John Brooks, rumors today that he could be going to Wolfsburg, making him the most expensive American player ever. 17 million euros was the figure there. We talked about how, maybe it's not, it seems like it might be a step down because Wolfsburg was so far behind Berlin in the standings this year, but in the table, I should say. But Wolfsburg's a big club. And if they're spending that much, they believe in John Brooks, and it could be a good move for him. They're not that far removed from being a Champions League team, so I could see them getting back there. Timmy Chandler is out for the U.S. We wondered if this is a real injury or if it's yet again adding to the fuel to the fire of the rumors that he just isn't interested in playing for us. Which, if that's the case, don't call him. So I hope it really is a real injury, and he was planning on being here but can't. But he looked fine coming off the other day at the in the 72nd minute of the Pokal. I kind of would like to see Eric Lehigh called in his replacement, but Bruce doesn't seem interested. We talked about the roster. We talked about the U20s. We talked about Bjorn Mars Johnson playing for Norway. We've talked about a lot because there's been a lot today. Chris, I guess you know what we should do? We should tell you about our social media. We've got a website. It's usfantv.com. We've got Facebook, which I've been doing more on. It's USfanTV on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, USfanTV. We do lots of stuff on Twitter. We just crossed 500 followers, so thank you for that. We hate Snapchat. We're not going to do it.
Fuck Snapchat.
And
fuck Snapchat in its snap and in its chat.
We also don't like Chris Wondolowski.
Fuck Wando.
Chris, do you have any final words?
We forgot it the last few episodes. I will quickly comment here because Sticky Player and Mike are both discussing Bradley. The problem has become he's sort of become the king of the short passes, and by that I don't mean he's completing them to short distances. I mean he likes to pass these balls that are like 2 yards short of the player.
Yes.
So
very strange.
Because he can drop a 40-yard ball on a dime, but he can't hit a 10-yard pass, a 20-yard pass or something. It's the oddest thing. What it is about it that he's seeing or not attempting, it doesn't make any sense to me. And I think that's really where a lot of this has become, because in fact he does do a lot of things that he doesn't really get credit for. His positioning is generally pretty good to alter how the other team is attacking our defense, which does lead to then the ball turning over and us maintaining control and things. However, he also does that thing where if he's not getting, if Jones or somebody moves up, he does that thing where he drops behind the central defenders, and then he makes the gap in our central defense too wide. There's no place for our defenders to play the ball out to. They're having to turn around and play it backwards, and then it makes his next pass even longer, and ends up screwing everything up. End up letting the other team too far. It kind of advanced too far against our defense, as well as then have an easier chance of recovering the next pass because he has to pass another 10 yards longer or something to move the ball up the field. It also then dumps pressure onto other players because he's not drawing defenders to him before he's playing the ball off, so they have more chances to kind of cover everyone else. But beyond that, yeah, he is also getting slow. Not that he was ever particularly fast. Sticky, he was never the fastest guy anyway. But yeah, he's at his jogging pace is not going to win any races, even if he may be able to run 10 times longer than everyone else.
Hey, Jack's here. He wants to see Brooks at Everton. I would like to see that
Jack.
too. I would like to see that too. That'd be pretty cool.
I wouldn't pass on that one. That would be all right. Said, I think that's all I have. You are done.
All right. Scheduling notes. Thursday night will be normal. Saturday night after the Venezuela match will just be me here taking your questions. We'll do one right after the match. Next week, I'm in Denver. Chris will be running the show. you know what that means from a technological standpoint, but hopefully we've got it right. He'll be doing
nothing would work the other day, and then everything just like clicked and worked, and it was fine. It was like I was doing all the same stuff and nothing would connect, and then all of a sudden it was like boom.
So we're going to try to do shows. I will be in Denver Tuesday night and Thursday night, but I'll be on the show, and I'll be putting up lots of content on our YouTube and other social media from Denver, so check that out. And then the big one, Azteca Sunday, we are planning on doing pre and post game shows, and we may even do something quick at halftime. So should be fun. And it
won't just be me sitting on my bed staring into space.
It's the greatest video of all time. It's really the best video we've ever done. All right, with that, thank you for joining us for this lunchtime US Fan TV. You are done.